In our previous episode, I was telling you about 3 lessons that I've learned in life. And remember, I said, you haven't got it all figured out, you need to be flexible, and you need to always recognize the human element. So today, I'm going to take it into a more personal level and indicate to you how I probably arrived at those lessons and how they actually apply to real life. So let's turn back clock a number of years. I started pupillage straight from university. I had all the answers to all the questions. I had it all worked out. I knew exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. So I thought. So on my first day of pupillage, I met my mentor, and he said to me that I needed to draft some particulars of claim. I looked at him like it was a secret code. I had no clue on how to draft particulars of claim. I had all the theory in the world, but no practical knowledge. In any event, how I eventually worked that out is a story for another day. But needless to say, my mentor was rather irritated by me, and I must admit I was somewhat terrified. But I learned very early on that the skill that he had at preparing pristine particulars of claim in such a short space of time was something that I really had to learn, and I was going to learn that on the job. So I went into practice, and I'm still in practice. And some days in practice I have a to-do list, and I can graciously tick off all the things that I need to do on time, exactly how it should be, and my OCD is happy. But then there's other days, and those days are a whole lot more than the organized days, where my chambers look like a hurricane has exploded, atomic bomb, whatever. There's sticky notes all over the place, there's cold cups of tea, there's books open, files open, papers all over the show, and my PA is running backwards and forwards trying to make some sense of what is going on. I'm trying to meet a deadline, or I'm trying to prepare for a trial. It's not organized, definitely not. And I certainly don't have all the answers to all the questions at that stage. I'm seeking the answers for the questions. In any event, I want to digress to a day not so long ago to indicate to you how, when you think everything is perfect, something can happen to change what's going on. So on this particular day, I had a set of papers that I needed to prepare. Difficult set of papers. So that particular morning, I decided they've got to be in by tomorrow. I've got the whole day to do these. Pace myself. No problem. There were files and books and everything all over the place. Mid-morning, my PA comes in and reminds me that I have a consultation at 3 o'clock that afternoon. Did I remember? So not wanting to seem as if I didn't have it all together, I said, of course I remembered. As she went out, I thought, it's not part of the plan. I paced myself to finish these papers by about 6 o'clock that evening. So I better just shift the balance a little bit so that I can finish these papers before I go to the consultation. So that's what I did. By 2:30, the papers were finished, neatly stacked on my desk with all the annexures, and there were a lot of annexures to this application, all stacked neatly, ready to be sent to the attorney. I sat back on my chair, patted myself on the back, reveled at my own time management. I had half an hour to spare before I was going to this consultation. Perfect. Not quite. my daughter-in-law and my little granddaughter decided to pay me a visit, and they brought in a cup of tea. I, of course, believed that I had earned that cup of tea at that stage, and I was only too happy to see the little granddaughter, and they sat down in front of my desk. As I was sipping my tea, a tiny little hand managed to flip over her mother's teacup, all over my neatly stacked papers and annexures. Well, her mother looked like a deer in car headlights. My PA held her breath. My little granddaughter gave me the biggest smile ever. Melted my heart, absolutely. So what did I do? Of course I didn't shout or scold her. How could I do that? She's far too cute for that. I said, don't worry. It's not the end of the world. And everybody almost sighed a sigh of relief. In my mind I was thinking, very close to the end of the world. But we'll live, we'll survive. I picked up the soggy papers. I handed them to my PA. We did not speak. We knew between ourselves there was some teamwork that had to be done here, and I had a consultation in 10 minutes. I bade everybody farewell, went to my consultation, came back. The papers were all neatly stacked on my desk, as were the annexures. Those papers later became the subject of a very successful court case. But I had to smile on the day that I was looking at them, because in the corner of some of those annexures, not visible to the untrained eye, were tiny little tea stains that my PA had done her best to hide. But I saw them, and I remembered what had happened on that day. And I thought to myself, you know, those lessons, they are always ever present. I didn't have all the answers that day, and I didn't have it all together. Even when I thought I did, there was something else that came in. I needed to be flexible. Firstly, to change the time. Secondly, to deal with the tea-soaken documents. And then there's the human element, the tiny human element. She didn't know any better, and that smile. It's been such a pleasure to share this pause with you today. Remember, your voice matters. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for the next tea adjournment.